There is a building in Dubai that was never meant to fail. A structure so extravagant, so deliberately excessive, that it was designed not just to house wealth, but to signal it. The sail-shaped icon rising out of the Persian Gulf. A hotel that declared itself seven-star without permission. A monument to a city that refused to obey economic gravity. And yet, today something feels off. The lights are still on. The fountains still dance. The marble still gleams under artificial sunlight. But listen closely. There's a silence that shouldn't be there. A kind of quiet that doesn't belong in a place built to impress the world. Because behind the illusion of endless luxury, behind the perfectly staged skyline, Dubai is changing. And the Burj Al Arab, the very symbol of its ambition, may be telling us something far more unsettling than anyone wants to admit. From the outside, nothing appears broken. Private jets still land. Luxury cars still glide down Sheikh Zayed Road. Influencers still post golden sunsets from infinity pools. If you only look at the surface, Dubai is exactly what it has always claimed to be. Untouchable, unstoppable, unreal. But that's precisely the problem. Because systems don't collapse when everything looks bad. They collapse when everything still looks good. But quietly, structurally, something underneath has begun to fracture. And the Burj Al Arab sits at the center of this contradiction. Not as a victim, but as a signal. A signal that what built Dubai may not be what sustains it. Before we peel back what's really happening beneath the surface, make sure you're subscribed, because this channel isn't about headlines. It's about understanding the systems behind them. Because what we're about to uncover isn't just about a hotel. It's about a model of growth that the entire world has been watching and quietly trying to replicate. To understand why this matters, you have to go back to the beginning. Back to time when Dubai wasn't a global hub, but a question mark. In the late 20th century, Dubai faced a reality it couldn't ignore. It didn't have the oil reserves of its neighbors. It didn't have the political weight of global capitals. And it certainly didn't have the historical legacy of financial centers like London or New York. What it did have was urgency. And from that urgency came a radical idea. If you can't compete on resources, you compete on attention. Dubai wouldn't become valuable because of what it had. It would become valuable because of what the world believed it was. And so, it began constructing something far more powerful than infrastructure. It began constructing perception. The Burj Al Arab was one of the earliest and most aggressive expressions of this strategy. Built on an artificial island, shaped like a sail to symbolize movement and ambition. Marketed as the most luxurious hotel on earth. It wasn't just a building. It was a statement. A declaration that Dubai was no longer a participant in the global economy. It was a stage. Everything about it was designed to be excessive. Gold-plated interiors, helipads for arrivals, suites larger than most homes. But the real brilliance wasn't in the luxury. It was in the message. If a place can build this, imagine what else it can do. And the world responded. Capital flowed in. Tourists arrived in waves. Developers rushed to build even bigger, even more ambitious projects. Skyscrapers multiplied. Artificial islands expanded into the sea. Entire districts emerged almost overnight. Dubai didn't just grow. It accelerated. And at the center of it all was a simple, unspoken contract. Dubai would provide the illusion of limitless opportunity, and the world would provide the belief required to sustain it. For a time, it worked perfectly. Crises came and went, but Dubai adapted. The 2008 financial crisis nearly broke the system. Yet it recovered. Debt piled up, but so did confidence, because the model wasn't based on stability. It was based on momentum. As long as people kept arriving, as long as money kept moving, as long as the story remained intact, Dubai didn't need to be stable. It just needed to keep going. And the Burj Al Arab stood as proof that it always would. A permanent reminder that in Dubai, limits didn't apply. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Models built on perception don't fail all at once. They erode slowly, quietly, almost invisibly, until one day, the symbols that once represented strength start revealing something else entirely. And that's where the story changes. Because the Burj Al Arab was never just a hotel. It was a signal of confidence, which means if something is happening to that signal, it may not be isolated. It may be systemic. There's a moment in every system when the numbers still look fine, but the feeling changes. Not dramatically, not all at once, just enough to make you pause. In Dubai, that moment didn't arrive with headlines. It didn't come with a crash or a visible collapse. It came quietly, in the spaces between things, in the gaps, because in a city engineered to feel alive 24/7, even a small amount of emptiness feels unnatural. Dubai was never meant to slow down. Everything about its design is built for movement. Airports operating as global transit arteries. Hotels functioning as temporary homes for a constantly rotating population. Retail spaces designed for tourists, not residents. Entire districts dependent on short-term stays, not long-term routes. This isn't accidental. Dubai's economy is not built like a traditional city. It doesn't rely primarily on citizens. It relies on flows. Flows of capital. Flows of people. Flows of attention. And when those flows are strong, Dubai feels unstoppable. But when they weaken, you don't immediately see collapse. You see space. At first it's subtle. A hotel lobby that feels slightly less crowded. A restaurant where reservations are suddenly easier to get. A stretch of beachfront that feels unusually open. Not empty, just quieter than it should be. And that distinction matters. Because Dubai doesn't need to be empty to be in trouble. It just needs to be less full than its system requires. The Burj Al Arab as a signal. The Burj Al Arab was never about occupancy rates. It was about presence. The illusion that somewhere inside that sail-shaped structure, wealth is constantly arriving, constantly circulating, constantly reinforcing the idea that Dubai is where money goes to exist. But what happens when that signal weakens? Not disappears, just softens. Fewer ultra-high net worth guests cycling through. Shorter stays. More promotional visibility than organic demand. From the outside, nothing looks wrong. But internally, the rhythm changes. And in a system like Dubai, rhythm is everything. Why empty mean what you think? Here's the paradox. Dubai can look full and still be functionally empty. Because what matters isn't how many people are there. It's who they are and how they behave. A tourist who stays 3 nights is not the same as an investor who parks capital. An influencer posting content is not the same as a business relocating operations. A visitor passing through is not the same as someone embedding into the system. Dubai doesn't just need people. It needs the right type of presence. And when that composition shifts, the system doesn't collapse. It becomes fragile. The invisible dependency. This is where the illusion begins to crack. Because Dubai's success has always depended on something most cities don't. Non-permanent commitment. People don't come to Dubai to belong. They come to participate, to earn, to invest, to leverage opportunity. And then, often they leave. This creates a unique vulnerability. Because the entire system depends on continuous replacement. A constant inflow to offset constant outflow. And when that inflow slows down, even slightly, the effects ripple outward. Hotels feel it first. Luxury retail follows. Real estate begins to adjust. And symbols like the Burj Al Arab, they become amplifiers of that shift. The global context, what changed? The question is, why now? Why would a system that survived financial crises, regional instability, and global shocks begin to feel different? The answer isn't local. It's global. Over the past few years, the world has entered a new phase. Capital is becoming more cautious. Geopolitical tensions are reshaping movement. Interest rates are no longer near zero. Easy money, the fuel behind speculative expansion, is tightening. In a world of cheap capital, Dubai thrives. In a world where capital hesitates, Dubai feels it immediately. Because it isn't just competing with other cities. It's competing with risk itself. The psychology of withdrawal. What's happening isn't a mass exit. It's something more subtle. A hesitation. Investors taking longer to decide. Tourists choosing fewer luxury upgrades. Businesses delaying expansion. Individually, these decisions seem insignificant. Collectively, they change the system's momentum. And momentum, as we've established, is everything. Because once a system dependent on constant inflow begins to slow, it doesn't stabilize. It reveals. The first realization. The Burj Al Arab was never designed for a world of hesitation. It was built for a world of certainty. A world where capital moved confidently. Where wealth signaled itself boldly. Where growth felt inevitable. But that world is no longer guaranteed. And so the question shifts. Not from, is Dubai still impressive? But to something far more uncomfortable. What happens to a city built on movement? When movement itself becomes uncertain. Transition to DEPER layer. Because what we've seen so far, the quiet lobbies, the subtle emptiness, the shifting behavior, these are not the cause. They are symptoms, signals of something deeper, something structural, something embedded in the very design of Dubai's economic model. And to understand that, we have to go beyond what's visible, beyond tourism, beyond real estate, beyond even the Burj Al Arab itself. We have to examine the system underneath, the engine that made all of this possible, and why that engine may not be as stable as it appears.